Morning, all. Denise Bramble, morning. Annette Neptune, morning to you. J Dimple 66. Morning, Roxanne. As always, thank you for my brooms. Rude Trude, morning. Arlene Lewis, morning to you. Cyril Mayas, morning. Hannah, morning. Rukman Gangadine, morning. Rukman. Lisa Atwater, morning. Althea, morning to you. See. Patty Kutu, morning, Patty. Patty, give my position this morning, yes. I taken that. Let's see. Kenneth Gabriel, morning. Gail Jack, morning to you. Who do we have on Facebook? Judy Small, morning, Judy. Ruth Fronton, Marva James, John Edwards, morning, guys. Phyllis Antoine, morning. Phyllis, I am good. Alison Boyce, morning to you. Cheryl Seeley, morning, Cheryl. Morning, Carol. Carol, today is supposed to be another bipolar weather day because right now I was reading a little earlier, sunshine, and I think if I recall, the weatherman said later on this morning, we should be getting some heavy rains. Well, at least for the next 2 days. Hazel Allen, morning. Christopher Coffey, morning to you. Levin Brown. Shell Hadara Lambert, morning. Will Durant. Judy Bowen, morning, Judy. Denise Cummings. Joyce Joseph, morning. Morning to His Excellency, the President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, First Lady Mauricia Keegan. Morning, Maria Lyons, Jennifer Dossett, Janice Matthews, morning, Anton Batiste. I'm seeing Denise put up something here showing rain. Well, it was raining a little bit on my side before and then it eased up, so I expect it's probably going to come back shortly. See this thing. Right. Lestra Sidney, Leon Joseph, Phyllis Farrell, morning to all of you guys. I'm going to jump off a little early today, probably like maybe 8:30 or something like that. It's another one of those days. Angela Kati, morning. Gemma Alexander, Joyce Joseph, and all of you guys. Marlene Panton. Neil Francois, always present, sir. Morning. Thank you, Patty. Jennifer Nathan, Rosemary Hadley, morning. Rosemary Davy Manuel, Jenny Joseph, morning to all of you guys. So let me get this thing here. Right. So let me jump on it. Wazid, morning. Kennedy Joseph, morning to all of you guys. So I don't know how many of you following what's happening in US politics, but I mean we can't operate in a silo here in Trinidad because what happens in US politics certainly has ramifications, if you want to call it that, implications for Trinidad and Tobago. And there are a lot of, we could always draw contrast between what's happening now with the Democratic Party in the US and Trinidad and Tobago politics. In fact, comparisons have been made between the two main parties in the US and the two main parties in Trinidad and Tobago, where we see UNC policy and the way the UNC operates on the whole has often been likened to the Republicans as opposed to the PNM more on the Democratic side. And that goes without saying. If you really were to study it, and you would see if Trinidad were the US, that is how it would be. The PNM would be the Democrats, UNC would be the Republicans. We know the leader of the opposition espouses a lot of the policies of the Republican Party. In fact, I saw Jenny posted an article a couple of days ago where Damian Leiter, UNC Senator Damian Leiter, is advocating or has expressed his support for one of Donald Trump's policies with respect to the reduction in the tax rate for businesses in the US and reduction in the tax rates for the wealthy. And the argument is, and this is something that Trump had implemented when he was president, and it got a lot of flack, and even today, it still gets a lot of flack. But the UNC always likes to accuse the PNM of making the rich richer. And in particular, when Dr. Rowley had that interview with Natalie Legore back on when she was on CNC3, and he made the comment, there is nothing wrong with the rich getting richer, but the poor must come out of poverty. And the bacchanalists, whoever mentioned that second part, the poor must come out of poverty. There's always, when you read comments from the fully dunce, and Rowley said the rich must get richer. Everything is the rich must get richer, and Rowley said. Prime Minister never said that. He said there is nothing wrong with the rich getting richer. And I would challenge any of those fully dunce to tell us what is wrong with the rich getting richer. Because anybody who embarks on an initiative or an endeavor to become wealthy, that is the overriding or the overarching motive, is to make more money and more money. So in the first instance, they could live the lifestyle that they want. And then it then translates into building generational wealth, so that when they are gone, they leave something behind that those who come after them can enjoy the same lifestyle or even better than what they who started the business would enjoy. I mean, it's all generational wealth is all about planting trees that whose fruits you may never eat and whose shade you may never benefit from. But you recognize that you're planting these for those who will come after you so that they can have that shade. And what this government has done, so the Prime Minister didn't just make the statement, the poor must come out of poverty and leave it there. He wasn't just being, saying something just because or to sound profound. His government has acted on that and has created a number of opportunities and avenues for the poor to come out of poverty, whether it be through the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service with the myriad of opportunities that they provide, the many programs that they keep rolling out. And the good thing about it is that a new program being rolled out doesn't mean that an existing one has to stop or that an existing one has to be suspended. They continue. So all the programs that are currently in place continue while they bring out new programs on what appears to be an almost weekly basis. In the first instance, targeting persons between 18 to 35, which is considered to be the youth cohort, right? And they are focusing on building the future society of Trinidad and Tobago. So, whereas before, under other administration, and Mr. Manning would have attempted to do that with Gate by providing where the state would pay for the tuition and so on, and then he went a step further through the HELP program, the Higher Education Loan Program, recognizing that if you want to pursue tertiary education, it's not just about the tuition, that there are other expenses that you would incur. And there are a lot of people out there who cannot afford these additional expenses. And so aside from GATE, you would have introduced other things as well. And the focus was on that. But the current administration recognizes that, okay, not everybody is inclined to go and do a 3 or 4 year course and get a bachelor's degree. And there are persons who are looking for practical skills that they can apply after 6 months, or that they can apply after a year or 2 years, as the case may be. And they are rolling out programs to accommodate such persons who could turn these skill sets that they would acquire in these programs into businesses. And I keep stressing business. This is a entrepreneurially focused government. Over the last couple of years, we have seen that the government has pivoted from simply developing professionals, as I said before, with university degrees, to creating programs that are intended to give people hands-on skills that they could turn into businesses, right? And also skills that they could use not just locally, but they could go abroad as well. And there is nothing wrong with people acquiring skills locally, and then taking up opportunities that may present themselves abroad. I have a friend who was working in, she was in health and safety, right? She got her qualifications in health and safety. She was working here in Trinidad. And then one day, as she said, she was just, one evening she home going through, just looking to see what job opportunities are available abroad. And she saw a health and safety position at GE, I think, is in Taiwan. And she said she just applied just for so, and was surprised to see that they contacted her, made her an offer, and she went to Taiwan, and she is there today. And this happened over the last probably 9 months or so. And today she's in Taiwan. She's working, she's earning US dollars. Her mother is in Trinidad, and she sends money back to her mom to help her out and stuff. Nothing wrong with that. And in the process, it is affording her the opportunity to travel and see the Asian continent. I don't see anything wrong with that. But you have those people like Indira Saju and Ali who like to talk about brain drain, and our best and brightest are leaving our shores and going abroad, as if that happens nowhere else but in Trinidad, right? But she considers it to be brain drain. There are only so many opportunities available in Trinidad, and if persons are getting opportunities outside, we're wrong with that. But meanwhile, the party that is positioning itself to replace this current administration in just over a year or so, keep talking about creating jobs and jobs. So while their focus is on building the employee pool, or building the pool of workers for, in some cases, to be exploited by some employers, this administration continues to build, whether it be through the Ministry of Youth Development, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and other ministries, Ministry of Tourism and all of that, and to some extent the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, to build opportunities for creating entrepreneurs. Originally, the intent was to create 1,000 entrepreneurs by 2025. That number has now been doubled. So the government is looking to create 2,000 entrepreneurs by 2025. 2,000 business owners, small and medium-sized business owners, 2,000 additional employers, right? Who would have, with the assistance of the state, established their businesses and can now go out there and nurture others who might be in a similar position as themselves as to what they need to do to be able to become entrepreneurs as well. But the other side ain't talking that. And what is disingenuous on their part, they wouldn't even commend the government for such an initiative. But they didn't think about it. And they're not going to talk about how that could, and this is the disappointment too, because whenever the media, mainstream media, interviews people like Indira Saju and Ali and Valmiki Arjun and these other guys, Mariano Brown and Kevin Ramnarayan and all of them, they never talk about these things. Never. None of them would ever raise this as an issue. They always like to talk about diversification. And diversification, Ralph Maraj, that is his favorite topic. For the past so many years, maligning this administration, they have done nothing for diversification. And they keep pushing the energy sector. But these programs, they wouldn't talk about it and how this is going to feed into the whole diversification thrust. And I raised this issue because I saw someone on Sunday would have put in the comments, and I take it, I accept that. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was making the point that, the program, we need to, while it is good to speak about the UNC and expose the things that they do, we also need to promote the things that the government is doing. And I'm following the US politics, to tie it back to where I started. Several interviews have been conducted over the last 48 hours. I know the Prime Minister made a statement in Parliament a couple of weeks ago where he said there was a contradiction from the leader of the opposition, that a week in politics is a long time. And Kamala was saying, is a day. And the Prime Minister said, no, it's a week in politics. And the correct, in fact, quote is, a week in politics is a long time. And we are seeing that playing out now in the United States, where just under 48 hours ago, the Democratic Party seemed to be in complete disarray. And the belief or the general consensus was that they were heading down the path of a significant defeat in November, uh, because they browbeat Joe Biden out of running for a second term based on his age, concerns about his health and his mental acuity and his ability to govern for another 4 years, given the fact that according to them, they are seeing decline in his physical decline, mental decline based on the debate on June 27th, which was not his best. But the man is 81 years old. I personally believe that he could have won a second term if the Democratic Party had rallied around him. But he was in a no-win situation where on all of these mainstream media programs, they come in and they say, everybody they interviewed, I don't know, like these mainstream media houses, they pick their guests well to suit the narrative that they wanted to push. So they invite people who will promote the narrative that, Joe Biden needs to get out there and make the case against Donald Trump and so on. And while the man was trying to do that, so he's trying to make the case to the American people and the American voters as to the threat that Donald Trump poses to democracy. But he also had to be, at the same time, trying to make the case to his own party members that he is the best person to carry the torch for at least another 4 years. And so he was fighting a battle outside and a battle inside. And at 81 years old, it was tough for the man to do. And some of his closest friends and allies who joined in the chorus, like, yeah, Joe, you need to hang up your guns. You need to pass the torch. We don't think you could win because the polls say, and the polls say, and the polls. You see this nonsense about the polls and the polls and the polls? And that was the main thing that they used to browbeat this man. The polls say and the polls show. But the polls were showing, and this is how the US media is very dishonest and disingenuous. Because all the time they're telling you, all of the guests, the polls say and the polls show Donald Trump beating Biden in this state and in the battleground state and all of that. And they weren't showing you certain figures. Now, all of a sudden, as Kamala Harris has been, well, all but anointed as the new Democratic nominee for president, we see in all the polls and they're showing you, they're doing the comparison. Well, there hasn't been much change in terms of, well, they're comparing Kamala Harris to Donald Trump and Biden to Donald Trump and telling you, well, the figures look the same, Trump 47 and Biden 48, and this poll say Biden 48 and Trump 49, and it's neck and neck. But they won't say neck and neck all the time. Oh, the poll show that the Democrats will lose and Biden will lose, and that's how they're dishonest, and you cannot trust the media. I say it clear, and I always tell you all, in Trinidad, the media cannot be trusted. When you read some of the editorials of these newspapers, and their main thing is to do the UNC's work for them because they have not benefited directly from this administration as they were eating our food between 2010 to 2015 by getting HGC houses and $1,000 vouchers for Christmas and all of these other things. Some of the certain government ministries hiring these people to do certain things for them on the sidelines and all of that. They're not getting that under this administration. So it is in their best interest for this to get rid of this current PNM administration. They wouldn't admit it, but we're not stupid. We're seeing it. And I find what is happening in the US to be very intriguing. In fact, so I was saying, under 48 hours ago, the Democratic Party appeared to be, well, not appeared to be, they were in a mess. They were in disarray. Joe Biden was holding his ground, but the number of persons who were calling for him to step aside kept growing. Even though you have over 200 Democrats in the US Congress, and 34, I think, was the last count of those who came out calling for Biden to go. It meant that you still had well over 150 or so who were still in his corner. They weren't focusing on those. They were telling you the number growing and the number growing, and this one say and that one say, till the man just decided, you know what, it ain't worth it. Because I can't focus on making the case against Trump when in my own party, I'm being undermined in my own party. So the media only focusing on members of my party trying to get me out, and they're not focusing on Donald Trump. Donald Trump got a whole 2-week pass after the debate. He was able to go and relax. For 2 weeks, you hear nothing about Trump. All you're talking about Biden's poor performance in the debate, and it raises questions about his mental acuity and his health and his age. That's all the media kept focusing on. For 3 weeks straight, that's all they talked about. Imagine you had an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. That had he not shifted his head a little bit at that very fortuitous moment, today Donald Trump would have been a footnote in history, right? We would have been hearing about plans for his funeral. The media talk about that for about 3 days. A big thing like that. The closest they've come to the assassination of a president since Kennedy, right? And or since Reagan, since Ronald Reagan back in 1980 something. And here it is that they talk about that for 3 or 4 days. And then they went back on Biden again. Mental acuity, president. They demand dirty because they went after that debate to prove the point about the man too old and his mental acuity and so on. Even when he tried to recover, so he would have a press conference or whatever it is to show, well, look, I just had a bad night. I did so many campaign stops and so on. I was tired. They ain't accepting that to know. They will see this man do a whole press conference, talk for an hour and more, and for the whole time focus to see if he stumble, if he make a mistake, if he call a wrong name or something like that, and would zero in on that and show that over and over, every show over and over. So like, was it last week or week before when they had the NATO summit and so on, and he wrongfully referred to the President Zelensky of the Ukraine as introduced him as President Putin again because he was talking about Putin before. And oh gosh, he's the man up now. Everything else Joe Biden said in that speech or whatever, the press conference, everything. Ask anybody. So what else did Joe Biden talk about? They can't tell you. You know why? Because the media focused on that. If they find a man coming off Air Force One and walking down the stairs too slow, they focus on that. If it is his time and okay, he looking around to see, they want to present a picture that he confused and all of this. So he had no choice. But now, since he stepped aside, all of a sudden now they're praising him, and he's the most consequential president in modern history, and all the accolades. They're telling you all the things. Now you're hearing all the things that he did as president, and they're talking about how he capped the price of insulin at $35 and programs to eliminate student debt, and how he would have revived the economy and he saved America from COVID, and all these things we're hearing now, the good things that he did, his administration did in less than 4 years, and how consequential he was as a president. But for the last 3 weeks, no mention of that. No talk about that. All they focusing on mental acuity and he old and whatnot, and he can't he's not connecting with the young people and so on. Donald Trump is 78 years old. Biden is 81. A difference of 3 years. You think you're gonna hear now about Trump's age and Trump's mental acuity? No, they ain't talking about that. They're not talking about that. Because now Trump, as I say, he's the oldest person to run for president, because I think Biden was 77 when he ran for the presidency. Trump is now 78. But no, and again, you'll hear one or two of them talk about that. But where is the focus on age? Now the old man in the race is Trump, but they ain't talking about it. They're not concerned about his mental acuity. A man who will go on a stage and talk for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just ramble about all kind of nonsense. And people trying to figure out what are you talking about? They're talking about when he go in the shower and he put shampoo in his hair and he lather up his hair and so on, and then the water trickling and this. What that's about? This man talk about that for a whole 5 minutes. That's why I love to look at Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel and these guys when they give you these clips, things that you would miss. Because you don't have the opportunity to listen to a whole Trump rally, right? Unless it's covered on YouTube or something like that. But some of the nonsense this man talks, referring to Hannibal Lecter as the late great. So he seems to think Hannibal Lecter was a real person, but they're not going to question his mental acuity. But poor Joe. But anyway, Joe stepped aside. He is given an opportunity to his running mate, Kamala Harris. And all of a sudden, in less than 48 hours, the fortunes of the Democratic Party appears to have turned around 180 degree. Not full circle, but a whole 180 degree. And I don't know how many of you are on Threads, but they established something called Understand the Assignment. And it's sort of a hashtag, right? And I am amazed. I'm seeing people leaving X, formerly Twitter, in droves because the owner of Twitter, the wealthiest man in the world, Elon Musk, is a strong supporter of Donald Trump, and he has pledged $45 million a month to the Trump campaign in an attempt to help the Republican Party retake the White House. But I have been following Threads constantly for the past 2 days or so, and this hashtag, I understand the assignment. So it is amazing that so many people have, in such a short space of time, rallied around Kamala Harris. So you're seeing things like, I'm a 72-year-old dog lady with a husband, 51 years, 2 sons and a grandson, who is voting for the very first time. We understand the assignment. Another one, I'm a white male, 54, no kids, expat, dual citizen, and don't even freaking live there anymore. And I understand the assignment. Just verified my registration to vote overseas. My 101-year-old mom is excited by Kamala's candidacy and knows the assignment, like everyone else in our family. Another one, Gen Xer mom to some amazing LGBTQIA kiddos and a daughter who receives disability services. For the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe. I understand the assignment. I'm a 54-year-old gay man and I understand the assignment. We could do this. I am Margaret, 67-year-old retired Navy wife. I understand the assignment. I am 61-year-old white male from Georgia. I understand the assignment. White lower middle class woman in Wisconsin, independent here with 1 granddaughter. I fully understand the assignment. I'm a 50-year-old white woman in the red state of Tennessee. I understand the assignment. And when you go down, it's just, you've been seeing that constantly for the past 48 hours. And I need to ask, do we in Trinidad here who support the PNM, do you all understand the assignment? PNM needs to have something like this, so we can gauge how many people understand the assignment that is before us in just over a year from now, right? But well, even though I find some of these polls are bogus, but how do we gauge and assess, other than CNC3 every night having the what the people say or whatever it is, and it seems they go to find people more often than not who appear to be supporters of the UNC when they have to ask their questions. As opposed to TV6, who does their nightly poll, the people meter, and it seems that more PNM people tend to watch TV6. But that's the impression that you get. 70-year-old white woman, married, 3 grandkids. Today I donated, wrote postcards. My family understands the assignment. 43-year-old white guy in Georgia. I understand the assignment. Again, 72-year-old woman lived through the struggle for equal rights. I know the assignment. 58-year-old white woman who grew up in a black neighborhood in California and now works as a Spanish interpreter. You better believe I understand the assignment. So clearly, I thought it's an excellent initiative. But who can we find who is going to spearhead the start of something like that? Right? It's just a hashtag that somebody posted out and people just jumped on the bandwagon and indicating they understand the assignment. They know what they need to do. Project 2025, which is something that the Republicans appear to do. And when you read the contents of that, it's terrible. Has implications for democracy. And the assignment is vote blue, and they need to get rid of Trump once and for all. Because if he doesn't win in November, the next time elections come around, he's going to be, 82? Definitely the old man. But knowing the narcissist that he is, he's probably going to, if he feels he has his strength, he's probably going to come back again in 2028 if he loses, when he loses in November. But the energy in the Democratic Party now turn this thing upside down. So if I see in the course of the next week any polls and any mainstream media telling me about neck and neck, I know they're on full BS. Full BS, because in 24 hours or less than 24 hours, the Harris campaign was able to raise over $100 million, right? Over $100 million in less than 24 hours. They came into the month of June, the coffers was at 96 million. So in less than one day, in less than 24 hours, they were able to surpass what it is they had in their bank account for the month of, not June, sorry, July. They were able to surpass. Now, in less than 48 hours, they've raised over $250 million. And over 100 or close to about 100 and something million of that has come from the grassroots. Not the mega donors, not the 1%, as we like to call them in Trinidad, the grassroots. People who donated $5 and $10 and $15 and $20. That's how they were able to do that. The average folks who understand the assignment and put in their money. So if I was, based on how the mega donors treated Joe Biden, they say we're not writing any checks on a dead horse, basically. I would have tell them, put all your money where the monkey put the nuts. Because clearly the grassroots are in this, they understand the assignment. Keep all your money, all of your lobbyists and so on. Right? And they have set an example that I think that the PNM can and should follow to rally your supporters, because the PNM faces a similar situation where Dr. Rowley has indicated, or he indicated that he had given strong thought to stepping down in 2020. And there's a possibility that that can happen next year. How it will happen, if it will, I don't know. But we know it will happen at some point in time, because Doc can know spring chicken. He'll be 75 in a couple months, right? And I'm sure he's contemplating retirement, as I'm sure his wife is also contemplating retirement as well. And when I recall the interview that a couple years ago with Natalie Legault, what was it? Yeah. And she expressed, her disappointment over, was it disappointment I want to use, but when she talked about, she knows how hard her husband works, and to see the way that he's treated, how he is vilified, the nasty things that are said about him, and people don't know the real man that is Dr. Rowley, right? The husband that she has known for how many years. And when she sees him trying his best, and when she talks to him and hear him talk about, the things that he's doing, the vision that he has for Trinidad and Tobago, and people don't appreciate it, and all the slings and arrows that they throw at them, to the point where they accused her a few months ago of being unfaithful, and she was having an affair with a special branch man at the UNC. Double down and triple down on that nastiness, right? This woman who has always been the pillar of virtue. Hear her name call up, no stupidness, no wrong, stand up. But they think, she had an affair with some Indian policeman from special branch, and Rowley get her on, and all kind of stupidness, and Anil Roberts persecuted her. He dealt with that. And then till the Prime Minister isn't addressing it frontally, because people ask, no, why you're not suing and all kind of thing. And when the Prime Minister said, well, I could take her on, but at least I never, he didn't pay a DJ or something, so to kill nobody, and no, he didn't pay anybody to kill anybody, and sort of thing. And of course, in reference to Andy Roberts and Lubes, right, where it is alleged that Roberts had a hand in the attempted murder of Lubes, right? But I suppose that these are things that she's tired of. Dr. Rowley has been in the politics for many decades, and maybe she just want to rock back and relax, and enjoy whatever time she and her husband have left. But that is, in the same way it was Joe Biden's decision as to whether or not he would stay in or leave. That is a decision that Dr. Rowley would eventually have to make. Question is, will the PNM, the wider membership of the PNM, rally around whoever is going to be the replacement? We hear talk that is going to be, it could be a bitter fight because of the number of persons who are interested in replacing Dr. Rowley as the leader of the PNM. Of course, we wish that it could be a smooth transition, as was the case from Mr. Manning, as has always been in the PNM, right? From Eric Williams to George Chambers, even though that transition, there are those who would say history would tell us that it wasn't as smooth because, there were others who won position, Kamal and whoever else, right? And I know Mr. Yates would normally tell us about these, who the other contenders were. But then it went from George Chambers to Mr. Manning, and then from Mr. Manning to Dr. Rowley. And I would hope and expect that when that time comes, that whoever it moves from Dr. Rowley to whoever, that it will be just as smooth as it has always been in the past, and as we are seeing now in the US, where folks are rallying around Kamala Harris. Now, we in the Caribbean, of course, should be very proud of that, given the fact that she has Caribbean roots. Her father is from Jamaica. But again, the slings and arrows that are now being thrown at her, because before the focus was on Biden. Now, the entire Republican establishment has to change up gears, because the entire convention was Biden to all, Biden this, Biden that. Fox News, which is the mouthpiece, the echo chamber for the Republican Party, and by extension Donald Trump. For months, they were showing you clips to imply that Biden not all clear up there, right? And now the entire campaign has been turned upside down. So they have to attack Kamala Harris now. So they're calling her, they're saying that she's a hoe. I don't know, whatever her relationship status was in the past or whatever. I just started hearing those things last night, right? They have an issue with the way that she laughs. They're saying even some, and there's a sad thing, you have some black people saying she's not black because her mother is an Indian from India and her father from the Caribbean, and these American citizens saying, well, because of that, she's not black, so she can't identify with Black America. What utter rubbish. I mean, you really have people out there who are so dumb talking that foolishness. So all the things now they want to come and talk about, what kind of thing they're going to say about her? But I was heartened when I listened to people like Maxine Walters and them come who say, we know what they're coming with, they're coming with all kind of nastiness. They will say the worst of things about her. But the black women of America, they're ready, because they see her in them and they will defend her to the hilt. The amount of white women too, not taking that. And I just read out for you, and this is something that is constant. The amount of white women, middle-aged, middle-class white women who coming out in support of her. Because I don't know if it's the novelty of America electing their first female president. We saw that novelty back in 2016. But again, the Democratic Party seems to be on the cusp of achieving yet another historical moment, having elected the first black president and now perhaps the first female president. And if the momentum as it is now continues, that is quite likely to happen. Now, for us in Trinidad, that's a good thing if she's elected, because we know our Prime Minister and our Minister of Energy have a very strong relationship with Kamala Harris, having met with her on numerous occasions over the last couple of years, whether it be in the White House or wherever else. And so she understands the challenges that Trinidad and Tobago faces. Economic challenges, the challenges with respect to the energy sector, and a lot of the shuttle work that Stuart Young has been doing over the last couple of years, especially to treat with this issue of dragon gas and so on, has required him to meet on numerous occasions with Kamala Harris. So our Prime Minister, who has also had personal meetings with her face-to-face, as well as telephone calls, Zoom calls, and so on. So Kamala Harris is fully aware of the name Heath Rowley. She's fully aware of the name Stuart Young. Is she fully aware of the name Kamala Prasad-Bissessa? I don't think so. Is she aware of the name David Lee? I don't think so. All right? Rudal Munilal? Nah, not likely. She'll probably have to Google these names. Who? But I'm sure she knows the name Keith Rowley. And I'm sure she knows the name Stuart Young. That's for damn sure. Right? So, should she be elected president in November, it means our Prime Minister he now has that relationship already established, right? So he can pick up the phone and call the White House and give personal greetings, aside from what he would write. And she would hear, okay, Prime Minister Rowley of Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, she knows who that is. Minister Stuart Young from Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, she knows who that is. Kamala Persad-Bissessar from Trinidad. Who is she? What's her position? Oh, okay. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. So that is one benefit for us. And it's Miss Harris, because her husband is not Harris. He's Doug. I can't remember his last name right now. Doug N something. Yeah. Who's poised to be the first gentleman. But anyway, she has played a pivotal role with respect to the work that this administration has been doing vis-a-vis the energy sector and Venezuela. If Trump wins, that's not good for us. Because for those of you who may have listened to his speech at the convention last week, he made specific mention of Venezuela in his speech, right? When he was talking about immigration. And he said, oh, Venezuela. I love Venezuela. Venezuela is so peaceful. I mean, where are you going with that? He like Venezuela. Okay, maybe that's a good thing for us if he wins. And then the punchline came, where he said, he's considering telling the RNC to hold the next convention in Venezuela, because Venezuela is so peaceful. And you know why they're peaceful? Is because they've exported all of their criminals to the US. Basically. Yeah? Basically, that's what you're saying. So Venezuela is peaceful now because they sent the worst of the worst to the US. As you know, the Biden administration would have done something that this government did years ago, which was to register Venezuelans and to provide them with an opportunity to live and work in the US for 18 months, and with the intention of reviewing that at the end of the 18 months to perhaps give them another 18 months. But this would apply to Venezuelans who were in the US up to a certain point, or at a certain date, which I think was probably up to June last year or something like that, right? So if you were in the country before that, you would be entitled to stay for and work for 18 months. And at the end of that 18 months, they would review the policy. But this is a Biden administration policy. Trump has indicated that if he becomes president, that he is going to engage in a mass deportation exercise, which would see some 20 million immigrants sent back to their home countries, right? Because he says that they are coming to the US and they are murderers and rapists and drug mules, and they take in black jobs, whatever a black job is, right? So he's trying to pander to Black America, but utter foolishness is that you can identify and isolate certain jobs as being black jobs. So are those jobs not good enough for white people? What the hell is a black job? Again, the media they touch on that a little bit, but they don't focus on it. So if it is he wins and he does in fact follow through on this mass deportation exercise, it has implications for us. Because Biden's policy of giving Venezuelans an 18-month stay to live and work in the US has stemmed the tide of Venezuelans coming to Trinidad. In fact, you've had some Venezuelans who would have come to Trinidad, and because of that Biden policy, pick up their bundle and went to the US. A friend of mine was telling me about a guy who used to do little odds and ends around her home for her. He went to the US and he's doing pretty well there now. He was sending her pictures and stuff and thing on WhatsApp, showing her how well he's doing, and pick up a little girlfriend over there and thing nice and whatnot and the like. But if Trump engages in this, wins and engages in this mass deportation, it means all these Venezuelans, and again, he singled out Venezuela, which means Venezuelans will probably be at the top of his list to send back. And if he sends them back to Venezuela, and things have not improved in Venezuela, where feel they coming? Right here. Right? Right here. Trinidad, Colombia, Costa Rica, Guyana. But right here is one of the top countries that they will be coming in. So once again, we're going to be seeing the boats coming in, pictures and videos of the boats coming in, and maxi loads of Venezuelans, and we're going to be hearing about things that we haven't seen and heard about in a while. We're going to be seeing an end, right? So these are some of the things that we need to be concerned about. Two main areas, immigration and the energy sector. Kamala Harris wins, well, the Dragon gas deal is smooth sailing. Smooth sailing. We don't have to worry about any reversal. As Stuart Young would have told us, the OFAC license that they got, it is the Biden administration that has been partial to Trinidad and Tobago and extending this OFAC license, right? So giving us more and more opportunities to make this thing work, notwithstanding who is in Miraflores Palace and what is happening in Venezuela. They have given us a license that that is excluded or it is protected from anything that is happening in Venezuela politically. They have a vested interest in seeing the Dragon gas deal come to fruition. And so once the Democrats win, it's good news for us. Not good news for the United National Congress. Because you see, they need Trump to win so that they could use that as an excuse that if, God forbid, they win next year, they could say, well, it's Donald Trump who scuttled it. But they know that so long as Nicolas Maduro is president of Venezuela and they are in office, because of all the nasty things that they've said about Maduro, the nasty things they've said about his vice president and other members of his administration, he don't want nothing to do with them. David Lee, Kevin Ramnarine, or whoever would be Kamala Persad-Bissessa's Minister of Energy cannot go and sit down in Miraflores and talk to Nicolas Maduro or Delcy Rodriguez as Stuart Young can. They cannot. Cannot. So if Maduro don't want nothing to do with them, and we know everything that they say, all the nasty things that they say about him, calling him a dictator, and they want nothing to do with him, and they're supporting Guaido and all of these different things, and Rowley hug up a dictator, and Rowley friend is the dictator across in Venezuela. All these things, you think the man over here? We have a Venezuelan embassy here. I'm sure the Venezuelan ambassador and the staff here take note of the things that the opposition says. Because the embassy here and its staff, they are the eyes and ears of Nicolas Maduro in Trinidad. So he knows the things that they say. He knows how they feel about him. So he ain't gonna entertain no hypocrisy. I say, well, okay, they win and I have to entertain them as the case may be. No, he's not going to do that. So they pose a threat. Them coming into office poses a threat too. Not just the Dragon, poses a threat to Manatee, poses a threat to Laurent, poses a threat to Coquina, and all of these are any other thing, any other opportunities that would present itself, as Dr. Rowley says, that this is just the start, but there would be other opportunities for Trinidad and Tobago to explore natural gas fields that they may share with Venezuela, or not, in some cases, don't even share, but that they could monetize on behalf of Venezuela and make some money for Trinidad and Tobago. They keep complaining about the shortage of forex and the foreign exchange shortage and we in US and all of these things. But this administration is trying to broker deals right there that would not require as much money, right? Because we're talking about gas fields that are just right there, a few kilometers. So the amount of infrastructure that would need to be put in place to bring that gas to shore and to monetize it is not that much. This administration has been able to accomplish what Kamala Persad-Bissessa couldn't do in 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. What Kevin Ramnarine couldn't do in the 4 years and some that he was Minister of Energy. Compare his track record to that of Stuart Young. How many gas deals did he broker? How many gas contracts did they negotiate? According to Stuart Young, it's just one. In the 4 years that he was Minister of Energy. But the media love to run to he to ask he questions and to interview him. Because apparently he's this big energy expert and he has all of the answers. Nothing positive could ever come out of his mouth. Even if he praised the government, now, 10 seconds later, he has to interject a but. Yes, I got a but. But put them back. Right? They want to come back into office. Makes absolutely no sense. No sense. Chalk and cheese. When we look at what Stuart Young has done since becoming Minister of Energy in April of 2021 to now, as compared to Kevin Ramnarine, who was there for 4 years, what the most significant thing that happened under Kevin Ramnarine while he was Minister of Energy was that the energy sector lost, I think it was 8 firms lost over $10 billion. Over $10 billion in revenue. Right? Because of inaction on the part of that administration to treat with the issue of gas curtailments. And they come and lie and say, well, it's because the plant shut down for maintenance and what. Rubbish, lies. They want to blame this current administration for the issue of foreign exchange, which started under them. Since 2012, 2013, it started. But when it is that they gave these generous concessions, the majority of our foreign exchange comes from the energy sector through taxes and royalties. The law obliges energy companies to pay at least 75% of their taxes and royalties in US dollars. But when it is Kamala Persad-Bissessa and her administration, tell them, well, come and drill now, man, but you don't have to pay no tax. We're giving all the generous concessions until 2027. Drill, 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 baby, drill. Find the oil, find the gas, or let's sell it, make money. And however money you spend to drill, 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 write it off against your tax liability. So, no taxes, no royalties. You didn't think that would impact the country's foreign exchange situation? You didn't think that far ahead down the road? We will deal with that when it happens, when it comes up. We will deal with it then. But you didn't anticipate losing the election in 2015. And now, the situation that you created that resulted in a reduction in the amount of foreign exchange that the country as a whole gets from the energy sector because you gave all of these sweetheart deals and sweetheart concessions to the energy companies. And today we're still reeling from that because we're in 2024. And some of these concessions extend to 2027. Right? Yeah, we blame Rowley for that and blame Stuart Chung for that. Because we have a foreign exchange shortage because we're not getting as much foreign exchange from the energy companies as we should be getting in the form of taxes and royalties, thanks to all your foolishness. But the fully dones wouldn't call them out on that. Nobody fully done's telling you, put them back in office. That making sense. Who is going to hold them to account for that? There's never any discussion about that contribution to the shortage of foreign exchange. So RBC announces that they're going to reduce the credit card, the amount of US you could access on the credit card. I think from the 1st of September or something like that, there was a reduction of 1,500 US. Oh, they're up in arms, the sky falling down, it's going to impact small business and the small businesses who already can access US. And now, where is the discussion about what they did and how that impacts? Where is the discussion about what Joala Rambaran did when he interfered with the distribution methodology to give licenses to Tom, Dick, Harry, Jenny, and Jane? And they were hoarding it and giving it to their friends, family, and financiers, as opposed to what obtained before. And when this administration came in, they had to try and fix it. No discussion about that and the impact that it has on foreign exchange today. Right? But put them back. But we will discuss politics on another date. I want to again highlight the hypocrisy of that other party that calls itself the government in waiting, right? Integrity Commission probes THA secretary. This is a story that broke 4 days ago or so. The Integrity Commission is probing allegations involving Secretary in the Tobago House of Assembly Ian Pollard over hiring practices within a unit of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities, and Rural Development. The scrutiny follows allegations that Pollard did not adhere to established hiring procedures for contract employment in the THA in the Rural Development Unit. A brief acknowledgement letter from the Integrity Commission on June 7th to THA Minority Leader Kelvin Morris, who brought the matter to the Commission's attention on May 28th, stated they received his letter and the documents attached and noted that the said letter and attached documents are currently engaging the Commission's attention. In documents obtained by Guardian Media, the call for an investigation was prompted by a leaked memo from the THA Division's administrator, dated October 12, 2023. The memo raised alarms about the potential for financial instability due to hiring processes. One of the concerns raised in the memo is that there was no documentation to show how the hiring process happened. Guardian Media was told up to 10 people were recruited. According to the memo, funding was insufficient to facilitate salaries of the Rural Development Unit as at August 2023. External funding will be required to facilitate arrears and salaries for 2023-2024 for the Rural Development Unit. Throughout the memo, the administrator attempted to show the urgency of securing additional financial resources to cover the division's budget shortfall. This note, on 3 occasions, suggested that the division could face difficulties in meeting its salary commitments and covering arrears unless extra funding was obtained. The memo also provided a detailed financial analysis. It noted that the division's projected expenditure for 2024 was approximately 36.15 million, while the allocated budget was only 27.93 million. Guardian Media understands that decisions were based on Executive Council Minute number 327 from August 17, 2023, which may not have been updated to replace the 2006 guidelines. The memo also highlighted issues with the recruitment process for a project field officer. Additional concerns were also raised about the financial management of the Rural Development Unit. The memo revealed that incorrect information was used for decision making. That's when you put little boys and little girls to do big people work. The financial analysis showed that the required funding for rural development staff was 1.22 million as of August 2023, while only $292,619.11 was available in releases. For fiscal year 23-24, the required funding to cover arrears and annual salary totals 3.3 million, further straining the division's finances. The administrator's memo further warned that if these financial and procedural issues were not addressed, the division could suffer reputational damage. And it said if this situation is not rectified, the division may be brought into disrepute. Morris told the Guardian media that Pollard's actions may have raised ethical conduct issues. All attempts to contact Pollard for comment via social media, phone calls, WhatsApp, and text messages were unsuccessful. But he put out a post, which they post up on the Tobago People's Party Connect Facebook page, right? Talking about, well, I don't normally comment on such matters using, what does he say, boy? True messages and so on. But he just wants to say that Kelvin is on foolishness. And I asked the question, so the administrator who wrote the memo, the administrator in the division who wrote the memo expressing these concerns, that person dumb too. And because Kelvin Morris's concerns and his referral of the matter to the Integrity Commission is based on this memo that was written by basically the equivalent of the permanent secretary in that division. The permanent secretary, right? That the equivalent of that person wrote that memo last year. But the next thing they might come and tell you, well, the administrator is PNM. Yeah, they didn't say it yet, but it come in. So the administrator wrote this memo stating, well, look, based on the other high-end people, willy-nilly, no contract, no nothing, no, they just getting people work just so, without giving consideration to where the money is going to come from to pay these people. In one case, I saw one of the persons hired was receiving a salary of $20,000 a month, plus I think they said some $2,500 allowance and stuff. And then after that, the salary was revised down to $17,000 a month. And so, what kind of madness? How does it work? Don't they have established procedures in place and established salaries for certain positions? So a man just come in, just so get work and he $20,000 a month. Now here that's it, $20,000 a month. Plus I think with some 2,500 and whatever other allowances. I think a secretary in the THA earns about $27,000 or something. So the chief secretary, his salary is the equivalent of that of a government minister, a cabinet minister. But the secretaries, I think it's $27,000 plus whatever allowances. So you bring on this person, let's get him, yeah, give him $20,000 a month and you need a phone allowance, you need a travel. All right, I give him $2,500 to cover phone and whatnot and stuff. Now, if everything was above board with that, why subsequently did you have to now come and reduce the salary to $17,000 a month and reduce the allowances and so on? And how many more of that? So when we heard AudioGate, hire people, we pay them a salary every month, and their work is to sit down and push propaganda whole day on Facebook and on social media. Push propaganda. Yeah? Willy-nilly hiring practices. You just hire people and get them up, no contract, no nothing. Same thing we saw, as we read on Sunday, as happened in WhatsApp. How many people were hired under this manager who had been fired while the PNM was in office, the UNC bring him back in 2012. And he hired, when you open the people personnel file, is just basically a manila folder with their name on a label. Nothing in it, no documents, not a copy of the ID, no contract signed, nothing, empty, lint, that's all. But the UNC ain't gonna talk about this. They have plenty to say about Alan Warner and his situation, talking nonsense about, Kamala Persad-Bicester needs to ensure that Alan Warner is bolted to the chest of Keith Rowley for the 2025 general election. Plenty to say about Alan Warner and his son. But here it is that you have the so-called government of Tobago. One of their secretaries, the equivalent of a minister, now finds himself the subject of an investigation by the Integrity Commission, and not one word from anybody in the UNC. Call a press conference, no mention of that. No press release from the leader of the opposition expressing concerns about that and calling for a police investigation to get to the bottom of that. But I bet you if that was an accusation made against one of the ministers, cabinet ministers in Trinidad, oh yes, we would have heard plenty about that. She herself might have called a press conference to talk about it. That would have featured prominently, and they waste their time Monday night forum, which they seem to have suspended for the time being. I don't know if it is the leader of the opposition is out of the country, and maybe that's why, because she has to be the headliner for all of the meetings. So they didn't have any last night, they didn't have any last week. I saw the UNC Cabal page put out that she under some pressure, especially with Joe Biden stepping down. There are renewed calls within the party for her to step down and pass the torch to somebody else, but that ain't gonna happen. No way, no day. She ain't doing that. Despite the fact that we could question her health, we could question her physical ability, and sometimes her mental acuity too, sobriety. All of these things could be questioned, could be brought into question, but no talk about that. Yeah? But this speaks to the danger that party poses to proper governance in Trinidad and Tobago. That they will not speak to the issue. They will not address it in any way. They pretend as if it didn't happen. So you're trying to tell me that Alan Warner's situation is more pressing to Trinidad and Tobago as opposed to potential wrongdoings that may be taking place in the THA with respect to hiring. But let us not forget that when this THA administration came in, one of the first things Farley Augustine sought to do, despite the fact that during the election campaign, he and Watson Duke, right, had given assurances to the wider public in Tobago that your jobs would be safe. Or if you need a work, you're going to get a work. Well, they fulfill that, right? But a whole department comprising 17 persons, don't forget that, 17 persons were fired from the Division of Infrastructure under, I think it's under Trevor James. Whole department fired, 17 people. And when Farley did an interview, what did he say? Well, these persons were deemed to be political hires. The PNM hired them, right? So they are loyal to the PNM, doing the PNM's bidding, and therefore this new administration needs to ensure that they hire people who have their back. And 17 people lost their work. Just so, because they were perceived to be PNM. So they are no family who is TPP. With no regard or concern for how these people paying their bills. How these people are going to put food on the table. No regard for that, you know. Watson Duke say, you see, no justice for all of them people with the big red flag in the yard. There's no justice for all you. And they follow through on that. They follow through on that. So to all the people who had the big red flag in the yard and decided not to go and vote in the THA election that resulted in 14-1. Yeah, because all they didn't take Watson Duke seriously. Because you all tell us, nah, them can't win. Them can't win. In some cases, where seats were lost for the want of 2 votes and 3 votes and 5 votes. I think Ansel Dennis lost his seat by 3 votes. I am certain in that district you had at least 4 people who supported the PNM, and had they gone and cast the ballot today, instead of just having Kelvin Morris, the Lone Ranger, we could have had at least 2 or 3. I think Tracy Davidson Celestin lost her seat by just a small margin too, and at least 2 or 3 others lost their seats by very small margins because people rock back. That is why Shamfa Kudjo is right to say is only PNM could mash up PNM. Plenty of Ole, and she called them out. Plenty of Ole who say Ole was with us, but behind me back, Ole went and voted for the TPP. Take chain up. Oh, Rowley too disrespectful, and the PNM too disrespectful. But all Ole, you see what happening there? Because of certain hiring practices. For more than a year, we're hearing about salaries being paid in arrears to forestry workers and so on, and the like in Tobago, CPEP workers. How many fortnights pass and they ain't getting their money? But Farley going home with his full pay though. His money ain't sleeping out. Pollard going home with his full pay though. Baines was going home with his full pay. All of them. Trevor James. All who they put on board. I bet you Winford, sitting on whichever board, he getting his stipend every month though. But all of you all working in the hot sun and pouring rain can't get all their pay. But them men meeting once a month. Sometimes is Zoom meeting. Right? They had to leave the comfort of their homes. One meeting a month and collecting the stipend and big pay as chairman and vice chairman of board. But you working hard in the hot sun can't get your pay. Why? Because they hiring people just so, giving big work to their friends and family. Couldn't care less. Nepotism and cronyism be damned. Big salaries. And you working for a little small pay and higher little bills to pay. The susu woman only calling you, what going on, boy? You ain't paying your susu. I ain't get paid yet. It's 2 fortnight now you're telling me that, but I ain't get paid. What you want me to do? Right? You're jeopardizing the susu. The woman had to be taken out of her pocket to pay because she want people say she bad pay. But meanwhile, these things happening in Tobago. And some of them claim to be PNM supporters, but went and support the blue. They shame now, they are nothing to say. Sit down in our corner. Huh? Yeah, we want something new. The same China politic in 2010. Want something new. Yeah, you get something new. According to Pandey. You get exchange. You want to change, but you get exchange. Small change. So, some of you who lost all your jobs under Fali, all you're doing now, you want to go back to the EBC and tell them you want back your vote? Your votes are non-refundable. Can't do that. But when you were being warned, when they say snakes in the Balize, it had some, well, he had some snakes in the Tobago Balize. Today you all paying the price for it. But when we have a party that is posturing itself to be the government and waiting, that is willing to turn a blind eye to wrongdoing in the THA, simply because they're looking to pander to Fali in the hope that come next year, that if his 2 seats can make the difference and decide who is going to form government, that the first people that he must come to, or first person, the first dibs must come to them. And they're willing to give him whatever he wants. They are willing to remind him that, you remember, for the whole time that he was there, we didn't say nothing, we never criticized all it. This happened and that happened, but we remember, we take a hands-off approach. Don't forget, we attack Alan Warner for Leno. Yeah. We went after Rowley for that, for your friend. All of the disrespect that they show. But let me play something for you, right? I'm gonna play something for you. Just the AC that passes in the THA. Let's see. Right, let me see here. TPP. 1 second. Let me just pull this up. When you don't know, or pretending that you don't know. Let me get this. Where is it? I'll just see everything here now. So just come on 1 sec, folks. So 1 second. Let me get this here. I know I saved it. Where is it? Oh gosh, where had this thing gone way? Is this it? Let me see. No. You didn't pull that. No, it wasn't it. I guess not. I'm gonna try something else. Let me see. The same Ian Pollard did an interview. It's not qualified. It's Tobago updates, I think I'm looking for. Just on. Let me see if that's on. Where is this thing? I'm not seeing it, but I don't know what happened there. And I know I saved it, and yeah. So what I wanted to play for you, Ian Pollard was on one of the news stations in um, Tobago, right? Same Ian Pollard that I just spoke about. And he's talking about housing, and he, of course, is the Secretary for Housing across in Tobago. And I really wanted to play that. You know, when these TPP clowns went for them to share thing. Let me give it one more try. Karen Tisha send me a friend request. I wonder why. Okay, Karen, I see you. I see you, Karen. Oh boy. That's folks. Let me see if I get this here. I'm not seeing it. But just to give you the gist of it. So he was being interviewed to talk about housing. And the talk show host, the host asked him about, so tell us about this 2% mortgage rate, for housing and so on. And he talks about, he had a discussion with Ralph Gonzalez, the great Ralph Gonzalez. They called him the world boss. It's his language, right? The world boss. And this is something that is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where the government put something in place for persons to be able to access mortgages at a 2% interest rate. And, that is so commendable on the part of the government, and the government here needs to do something like that and to engage the financial institutions with respect to. And I'm saying, is Ian Pollard sleeping? Has he been under a rock? Or is he just dumb? Because the TTMF has been offering 2% mortgages, 2% for the longest while, years now, for persons within a particular income bracket. The same income bracket that he is referencing here, right? Because he's saying the average Tobagonian that they had a build a house by taking, taking small loans and so on and building like that, and can't get mortgage and whatnot because the mortgage rates are so high, and they had to be paying rates of 9 and 11 and 13%. And that the government needs to do something like that as what obtains in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Where has he been living? That you are supposed to be the Secretary for Settlements, and you don't know that TTMB, formerly TTMF, has had this 2% mortgage rate since Jesus was in Pampas. He don't know about that? But you're coming on national TV to talk a pack of nonsense and to chastise and talk about Ralph Gonzalez, and you had a conversation with Ralph Gonzalez, and he tell you about this 2% thing and the government, and it's a laudable initiative, and the government, it's a commendable initiative and all of that. And right here in your own country, it exists through a state-owned finance house or mortgage company, TTMB, and you don't know that. But you are the Secretary for Settlements. I'm talking about all the things that they need to do because people need housing in Tobago, and the government, you call on the government to do what? Something that the government already has in place? I mean, he should be embarrassed. And you know what's even worse is that the supporters of that party who run in this Tobago People's Party page, all you're so bold-faced to post up that interview. You're ashamed. It tells me that even they don't know. But you're coming to criticize the government and Ralph Gonzalez. Why didn't talk about what you should talk to Ralph about is the Sandals Hotel and Resort that is in his country that should have been in Tobago. That is what you should have come and talk about. That is the conversation that you should have had with Ralph. And how is that working over there for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines? How is that helping tourism? And how has it helped tourism? Has it improved tourism on the island? What does it feel like to have a Sandals resort in your country? Well, more than one. That's the conversation you should have told us you had with Ralph, not about his government having a 2% mortgage rate for housing. And when it is that has existed in Trinidad and Tobago for how many years now? But you're coming to chastise this government and all the financial institutions in this country and whatnot, and the government needs to intervene. Get real now. But these are the people who run in the THA. That's why he in hot water now on the investigation. Clueless. Talking about the things the government needs to do to assist the people in Tobago with respect to housing. But the Ministry of Housing has been giving out grants I think some over $3 million in grants were given out recently to 80 persons from Tobago and so on. And they cousin Camille and the ministry they coming up Tobago to try and bribe Tobagonians and try to see if they could get votes in Tobago, but Tobagonians smarter than that, and they didn't want that, and they tell the ministry they could keep that. But you're coming to talk nonsense now about the government needs to intervene to assist Tobagonians with respect to housing. But at the same time, disrespecting the minister. When she came up the other day to hand out the grants, yeah, they just come in to try and bribe Tobagonians. So what is you really want the minister to do? What you want the government to do? You don't want the minister, you don't want anything from the Ministry of Housing, right? So the minister mustn't come up to Tobago and give out grants, because all you all can see in that is politics. But the people who are the recipients and the beneficiaries of these grants, they're very happy, because it could help them, because they're getting something from central government that the THA can't give them, or seems incapable to give them, but all they could find money to pay people $20,000 a month on big allowances, right? But when it is the central government, which is the government of Trinidad and Tobago, coming in Tobago to deliver services to the people of Tobago so that they could benefit, that the people of Tobago, young people in Tobago, had to leave Tobago to come to Trinidad to participate in programs being offered by the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. Because they're seeing all of these ads coming out, and look, all these things that the ministry offering, that they could benefit from. But because all is so wicked and vindictive and bad mind, you ain't want them, no minister must come to Tobago to do anything, right? Because you all have the solutions to every problem in Tobago. And every time the government tries to come to Tobago to do something, if it is that only I'm blocking the Prime Minister from going to the quarry, you have an issue with Marvin Gonzalez coming to Tobago to dig well and build and commission booster stations, and every single thing that any minister from the central government tries to go to Tobago to do, they have an issue. They come in to encroach on Tobago, and they try and they encroaching on the authority of the THA and all of this foolishness. But if you all are doing what you're supposed to do, part of the budget, when it is that you all read your budget and you make your request of central government, it is always said in the annual budget, the minister would indicate this is how much we give in Tobago directly. However, the island will benefit from direct interventions from the various ministries. So that when monies are given to the Ministry of Works and Transport, part of that will go to things for Tobago. The Ministry of Education will get money. So aside from the Division of Education and what's her name, Zarisha Hackett, the Minister of Education, Nian Gatsby Dolly, will also do things from monies allocated to her ministry to benefit the children in Tobago. And so it is with every other ministry. Marvin Gonzalez, his ministry, will also come to Tobago and do things to relieve the pressure of the THA. But every time they do that, as I assume, is a problem. They come in Tobago and encroaching in Tobago space and the THA and all of that foolishness. But the people, the citizens, the residents of Tobago are, well, some of them are appreciative of it. Some of them buying into that foolish talk and that dotish talk from Pali and them. We must hate central government and hate Chinese, but all they love for Chinese to come across and spend their money for Easter and spend their money for Carnival. But after that, we ain't need all that. We don't want all that. Right? Come and spend all your money for that. But otherwise, that we don't want no advice from all that. We don't want nothing from all that. That is the kind of foolishness that they promoted, Fali and gang promoted, unfortunately. And nobody, well, the other side is pulling them up on it. Right? Anyway, it's already almost 8 o'clock. 770-1763. Right? So let me just get this here. Set this up. Turn this off. Sorry, I couldn't get that thing to play with Pollard, but I'll find it. Don't worry. I will find it. So let me get this here. Give me 1 sec, Mr. Yates. Let me just get this here. Connect this. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Morning. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Morning. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Yeah, we tried. Mr. Yates, go ahead. I don't know what happened there. I was hearing him and then, yes, let me get this again. Let's try this again. So, all right, folks. All right, give me 1 second. Let me see. I don't know what's happening. Disconnected. Hello, good morning. All right, give me 1 second, and folks. Let me try and sort this thing out here. I don't know what is going on here. Let's try this again. Jan, hold 1 sec from now. Hello? Hello?
Hi, Dominic.
Hey, Jan. Yes.
I now sent something there for you on WhatsApp. I don't know if that's what you was looking for.
Let me see.
From Ian Palan. It was on Tobago updates.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'll send it out 3 minutes.
Okay. Thanks much.
I just want to say quickly, I don't know if you might want to play still. I want to say good morning to all those who are locked on tuning to Facts and Stubborn Things. Dominic, I just want to talk briefly on Petrochin because that seems to be the hot topic right now, other than Joe Biden stepping down from the presidential race and endorsing Kamala Harris. I want to give her my support, not only because she's a woman, but I have that confidence that she could bring it home for America.
Yes.
With Petrochin and what's the name, Roger, who I am calling the human parasite. He did an address to the nation, I think in 2015. I posted it on the old page there, debunking. And I would like people to listen to it because Ansel, the pest, or not the pest, the parasite Roche, would have outlined what has happened to the demise of Petrochin and also the economy of Trinidad and Tobago under the leadership of Kamala Harris. I don't know if these fellas just forget what they say, but that is a very damning report you would have given about Kamala Harris and the UNC, urging people not to vote for them in 2015 and return them to office because of the damage they would have done to this country, Trinidad and Tobago. And here he is today, telling us talks are going well with the same Kamala Harris. So I want to ask the parasite this morning, if the talks you have with Kamala Harris, based on the things you would have said in that address to the nation, is it how to further do corrupt things in this country? Is it to harness all the skill in corruption? Because I can't understand if it's anything good for this country, you will be talking with her. It had to be corruption talks based on what he would have said in that video there. So I'll say again, when you look at it, all the rest of the PNM over and over is a Holloran and Prefato. And of course, the PNM is not a perfect party. It's led by human beings, and humans are imperfect. We're all striving for perfection. It's like nobody on this earth has made a mistake or done something that may not have been how they wanted to be. It may not have been criminal, but it may have something that sometimes you look back and say you shouldn't, coulda, shoulda, woulda. However, the way how Roger described the UNC, nobody in the history of Trinidad and Tobago has ever described the People's National Movement. Even Jack Warner said the history of the UNC to this country will be that they were the most corrupt party to run this country. He said while in the PNM there were pockets of corruption, in the UNC everybody corrupted. So I'm just putting this there to tell people, if you look, you don't have to read it. Right now you could listen to stuff. if you listen to what's happening in this country and the players who want to put all the PNM out of office, you will realize that they're not credible. They corrupt. Based on the things that they say, they just lie, and they're not good for this country. Putting them back in office just set us back another 30 years. This government has fought to bring us back from 2015. Everybody knows the circumstances that had happened when Dr. Rowley came into office in 2015 with the PNM. Sometimes we have to keep going it over. I won't go it over today. But we know where we were in 2015, where Jorala Rambaran, the incompetent governor, central bank governor, because he was not the most qualified for that position. There were people like Terence Farrell and others who were more senior to him in the finance ministry or central bank. And they put this neophyte, in my opinion, to run the central bank. And we see where what happened under his tenure. He came out in 2015 to say that we had 2 consecutive years of negative growth or something that effect, so that we are in a recession. He said that in December, I think, of 2015 at Hyatt Regency. So you know the type of people that, and as for Ugly, who just want to say he's a doctor. He ain't no doctor, he ain't no doctorate. He knows nothing about energy and the energy sector. But he sits there, man being on $1 million bail for alleged fraud and other things. But he sits there as head of government business or chief whip or whatever. And if you look at the whole slate of Kamala Prasad-Bissessa's team that she has, you will hard pressed to find somebody who has not been accused of some corruption or human trafficking or something that is not in the best interest of Trinidad and Tobago. So people, you all have a choice in 2025. The choice is yours, and one thing you need to do, make sure you get up early on the day that the election is called and go and put your vote for the People's National Movement, then dip your hand into the reading as a testament that you have voted. Do not let your vote not be counted. People would have died for us to have adult suffrage. People would have died for the rights of women to vote. And in Trinidad and Tobago, people would have fought for people who don't have land and house to be able to vote. Because back then, it's only people who had property could have voted. All that was stopped under the People's National Movement. So don't let that opportunity pass you up and say all of them is the same. All political parties are not the same. And the People's National Movement is far ahead and a far superior in the thinking and policies than any other political party would have run this country. Thank you, Dominic. Have a blessed one.
Thank you, Jen.
And for too long, there was a system where things were just given because of your political affiliation. Your name might come down in a draw if you're lucky. But it's the revamping of the entire settlements division and the policies that we have and the procedures that we have developed to have these lands or houses distributed to deserving recipients.
Right, and tell us a bit about that 2% mortgage.
Well, I just had a brief conversation with the Honorable Ralph Gonzalez, as he's known as the world boss, 5-star general. And, it's an initiative that the party came up with. And, it is working because the person who invited us, it's a lady from Pembroke, Marissa, I can't remember her last name. But, for the government to come up with such initiative, it's commendable that you could have a 2% mortgage for the entirety of a loan and get 100% financing from the banks. We have to face the commercial banks at high interest rate, 9, 10, 13, 14%. And you're paying for this until probably you retire, your kids have to take over. But if you want to give people the incentives, the government must intervene with these financial institutions and have some discussion about them, because we here in Tobago, most of us bill out of our pocket. And we could never finish a house in time, or somebody has to come and put on our rooms. But some initiative has to be taken for Tobagonians to benefit.
Right. And during your campaign period, you would have expressed a lot of time the frustration among young entrepreneurs as well as young professionals in getting affordable housing. What have you been able to do thus far to bring some relief to that situation?
Well, we started our first house. We completed our first affordable housing or social affordable housing at Milford Court to someone who was visually impaired. We started the second one at Blemin, that is completed, and we started 3 more at Milford Court for those who are physically challenged. I mean, it is frustrating.
2.5 years they built 2 houses and 3 more under construction. 2.5 years. That's what he did. That's their claim to fame with respect to housing in Tobago. But you have the clowns, the supporters posting up on Facebook. Camille could give out what grant she wants in Tobago. We in Tobago not voting for no damn Red Devils. That's what they're posting up, right? They are voting for no damn Red Devils, but Camille could give out what grant she wants in Tobago. But he come in to talk. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines should be commended for the 2% mortgage. But meanwhile, that existed in Trinidad and Tobago long time. But he's the secretary for settlements. Lord have mercy. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Tom.
Morning.
How are you?
I am good.
Kamla and Fali,
Okay.
one stupid person. Confused, dotish, wholesale senile. Fatly, are you back in Genesis day 1? Do you have soul meal? You light a fire and hope rain don't fall that you get your meal? You cannot be serious before you open your other anus. Think of what you're about to see. Because when the filth hit the fan, it's going to fall back right in your mouth. Where is your sense? I want to holy heck to get into politics. How Crackerjack box, surprise party, a mistake, oops. How? You're laughing because this is so stupid. Fatly and others is toilet paper, toothbrush, or Harpic. I want to buy a gift. Tell me what you want, please. Just tell me what to buy you. Because I'll buy every wholesale factory across the globe and give it to you. You know something? I feel Kamla, the sister, and Robert and David Lee being constipated. Because I mean, it's like, backlog, they can't go off. There's a backlog of filth in the brain. So the moment of like, oops, a password, the password is what they see. And let me say this politely. Kamla, the sister, might like Kamla house. You know why? Because she's a British Indian. Or she might not. Kamla like black people at her convenience. When the Shakil, when he came down for the basketball thing, she was happy. You hate PM Brownie because he's black. What is Shaq O'Neal? The token Indian? UNC is a racist party. It's all about them. They want to gender here. But what is the really charge? Anora sold from 2 state boards. The last one, $3.2 million. And for 2023, LGE was there. Why is still there? When if you're eating, cooking, feed thyself too. If I don't eat my food, I'm forcing my guests. Lee must go, Ram wants to go. Because you have double standard. If it was Indian to Indian, they have no problem. But how did an African man go to India and get world treatment? It's not about the person, about the person down here who went there. And people hear me well. If you love yourself, and if you love your children, and you love the land of your birth that gives you so much, first was God, then PM Williams, then your Chambers, Manning, and PM Rowley would press. Because if you don't, your children, your grand, and your great grand will pay IMF till the day they die. Can I be so perfect, eh? But they still try. Look what George Young did with Dramataz and other oil deals. In his matter of months or years, look what he has done. Look what the UNC has done in 5 years. How they rape the nation's first. And then comes a call for sanction. What sanctions means? Not just paying people, it's for USA people too. Because who don't have will have less. Leader wants tax cut for the 1%. That is favoring the 1% to Leader. What you said? By cutting tax the 1%, it get them richer rather. Where's your self-Leader? You dump on Trump bandwagon. A convicted felon in the state. Let me jump on. Are you so insecure in yourself, looking for a vote? Do not vote UNC people. You will probably burn them out. You belly bottom. And you'll burn choice bottom too. Don't have a good day. Goodbye.
Thank you. See if I can get this here. 7701763. I saw Mr. Yates. Let's get this here. Mr. Yates, morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear.
Thank you, thank you. Well, just a couple of things I want to share with you this morning. My mother always used to say, if you throw enough mud, some will stick. And that is the message I am leaving for the PNM executives this morning. Maraj, we all know, has made it a career of saying nasty things about PNM ministers, in particular, call members, and more particularly so, the Prime Minister of this country. Not one word, except a little cameo letter in the papers from Ms. Robinson Regis and her Women's League. Nothing from Chairman go back. Nobody. And it is clear to me that Ralph Maraj is nothing but the organ of the UNC for OCM in the Sunday Express. Because they had a number of columnists, about 4 or 5, they criticized the government. But none of them in this nasty, bilious, vicious vein as Ralph Maraj. He has never said anything about David Nackett, for example, who described the former president and a woman to boot as an insipid jackass. He has never had a word to say about that. He has never had a word to say about what Anna Roberts has said more than once about what a woman has to do if she wants to get a job in the government involving Dr. Rowley. I don't need to repeat the words that he used, but we all know, including the fact that he has accused the Prime Minister's wife of infidelity with some Indian man. Guess what, Maraj, in that? Not one damn word from him. And not one word from the PNM. Not a word. They don't realize that he is an influential voice in the media. He's an influential voice in the media. He could have an impact with the floating vote. With the floating vote, and PNM must take cognizance of that kind of thing. And finally, just to look at the Tobago issue. Dr. Mekate, a popular Calypsonian from San Fernando, composer once said, "A cat born in an oven is not a bread." Therefore, what you see in Trinidad with all of the secretaries, they are following their leader. They are following their leader. And the contempt that they keep showing is because of the fact that they see themselves as cabinet ministers of Tobago. That is why they don't want any PNM minister to come over there and do anything. They see themselves as part of a cabinet. They are ministers, not secretaries, which really makes them just glorified councillors in a regional corporation. But they see themselves as ministers in the cabinet of Tobago, led by their Prime Minister, Fali Augustine. And finally, this fire, this was an old talk and grandchild the other day about cabinet reshuffle, but reshuffling the secretary. He moved one, and that was Terence Baines. That's a very important reason. And the reason is that Terence Baines tampered with the MP for Tobago, writing and telling her that she has to write him. She has to write him to get permission to use a community center in Tobago West. That's the ladies' constituency. And what has happened here? Why did Fali fire him? Fali needs the 2 Tobago seats to give to Bissessa next year so that she may form the government. And he may become a minister in Kamla's cabinet. But by what Baines has done, he has muddied Fali's waters in Tobago West. It has angered the, and you see, people must remember and understand that PNM has always been stronger in the West than in the East. Because the East is Robinson's territory. And PNM has always, you look at the votes over the years, PNM has always garnered more votes in Tobago West than in the East. And what Terence Baines has done, he has muddied Fali's waters in Tobago West. And that is why Fali put him in his damn place and fired him as a secretary. That is the only reason. So all this other old talk and gun talk about reshuffle and reshuffle, he's the only one that he moved. He's the only one. It is the emotion because he messed up Fali's chances in Tobago West. And that is the only reason he removed him as a secretary. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, but thanks for the opportunity and good morning and have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Yates understands the assignment. Yes, and then Fali ain't fooling nobody, you know. Ain't fooling nobody. And when they continue to allow their supporters to push the disrespect, but as Mr. Yates said, they're following their leader. Fali has been very disrespectful to Dr. Rowley, very disrespectful to the central government of Trinidad and Tobago. When it's convenient to him, he will pat down, right? And then he gets back up on his horse again. He reminds me of Donald Trump. When they said the speech, you're going to see a different Trump because of that assassination attempt. He's going to have a more conciliatory tone, and he's going to talk about unity and so on. Talk about unity for 15 minutes, and then after that, right back on the horse. Same thing with Fali. None of them have. What is the relationship between the THA and central government? And who are the antagonizers? Right? Who are the antagonists? It's them. Everything they have an issue with, to the point where you're now highlighting your idiocy, and you don't even know as a secretary to you, so that you could advise people when they come to you, your constituents when they come to you. Well, look, we put this in place, and TTMF gives 2% mortgage. You know, but you went all the way to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to meet with Ralph Gonzalez, so come back to Trinidad and to tell us about St. Vincent and the Grenadines have a 2% mortgage rate, and that exists in Trinidad for how long? When you don't know, and I'm certain TTMB has offices in Tobago. I'm certain there are persons in Tobago who have access to that 2% mortgage and build house, but he don't know that. 2.5 years. You build one, you completed 2 houses and 3 more under construction. but you all are experts when it comes to housing, but disrespectful to the Minister of Housing when the minister wants to come and do stuff in Tobago, because it's the residents of Tobago are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and should be just as entitled to anything central government has to offer as do the residents of Trinidad. But because they're too nasty and vindictive, depriving Tobagonians of opportunities, yeah, well, they're gonna fix it. Let we fix this. What will you fix? What did you all fix? You fix yourselves, your friends and family, nothing else. Nothing else fixed. 7701763. Bunch of jokers. See if I get this thing here. There's something else I wanted to touch on too. So many things I save and so little time. I'm gonna play this one quickly.
Hello, I've been running. You know, in this crime situation is absolutely painful. And here's what bothers me. The current Prime Minister was part of the Manning administration, which created SORT. And under SORT, kidnapping almost disappeared. Several other things were considered, particularly our borders, protecting people from coming in and protecting the guns from coming in. The current Prime Minister has been in office for 9 years. What has he done that is similar to SORT? What has he done to ensure that our border is protected? What has he done to ensure that guns are not coming in? What has he done to reduce crime? I don't know. Until next time, while running, we need leaders who are strong and knowledgeable. Be safe.
And who is the leader that is strong and knowledgeable? What has he done to stop guns from coming into the country? She's asking that. This is somebody who's supposed to be a PNM supporter, who's still tooting, Petty Betty. So apparently she must have missed the memo, or the story where the Prime Minister would have met with the US, where the Prime Minister would have spoken about joining with Mexico and so on in suing the US for this issue with the guns. That the Prime Minister would have met with the presumptive next president of the US to discuss this very same issue. I would have gotten pledges from the US government, the current US government, in terms of things that they would do to try and stem the tide of guns coming into the Caribbean, not just Trinidad and Tobago, but the wider Caribbean from the US. Apparently she missed that. Talking about SORT. And Dr. Rowley was part of the administration that created SORT, and what has he done with respect to creating something similar to SORT? But no mention. Dr. Rowley shouldn't have to create anything similar to SORT if the former administration didn't dismantle SORT. Because SORT was doing very good work, as she just mentioned. And all that was required was for the People's Partnership, when they came into office, was to bring the legislation to make SORT a legal entity. But she's making it seem as if it's so easy to just put this back in place. SORT comprised of officers from Scotland Yard who were trained with respect to crime detection and the like. We had officers who were seconded from the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, and all these different things, apparatus was put in place for that. They had the assistance of the blimp and all of these different things, the 360-degree radar, all of these things that the People's Partnership dismantled. But you will speak about this in a silo. What has this Prime Minister done for the last 9 years? Having to play catch up to fix what that previous administration dismantled and didn't need to. What did they do? They had a state of emergency and lock up over 8,000 Africans. And they thought that that would stem the tide, that would fix the problem. What else did they do? Perhaps she could tell us that. We know what they did with the OPVs. So they love to talk about the borders porous and the borders porous. Well, the OPVs were supposed to treat with that. They were supposed to treat with that. These vessels would have been out there and could have stayed out and sea for a lengthy period of time, and they would have had helicopters that could do surveillance and all of these different things. Now, in addition to that, they would have probably been able to use drones and stuff to detect when it is that these illegal vessels coming in with guns and other contraband. But they shut it down. Let us talk about that. So all the things now, and what this government, but I'll play on Tuesday, clip from the Prime Minister of Barbados, who is lamenting the state of violent crime in Barbados. That so far for the year, Barbados, I think, just crossed the 30, just had over 30-something murders. Well, they had 30-something murders for the year so far. Last year, they had a total of, I think, 43. So they're on course to surpass last year's figure. But Barbados supposedly has the best prime minister in the whole Caribbean region. And they are battling the same issues that we are facing. Now you might say, well, 30 murders or 43 murders. If we had that here, yeah, but they have a population of 285,000 persons. We have a population of 1.4 million. And for them, 43 murders is an anomaly. They don't have they didn't have a gun problem before. They do now. And it's not just them. St. Vincent and the Grenadines have the same problem. Grenada have the same problem. Well, oh Lord, don't talk about Jamaica. Right? Jamaica is on the road to 700 murders so far for the year. Right? And they have had their own challenges, but yet still, with the crime situation in Jamaica, it hasn't affected their economy. Because these citizens are they ain't feeling safe, and they ain't feeling safe in Trinidad, and they want to migrate and so on, but we'll spend the money to go to Jamaica. We'll spend the money to go to Jamaica for holiday, but you're feeling safe when you reach there, right? But the likelihood of being killed is double that of Trinidad, but you're feeling safe. You're on folly. Jenny. Hello?
Hey, Dominic.
Yeah, Jen.
The Commissioner of Police, Mr. Christopher, would have said at one time, we need to pray. And we always calling for prayer or prayers in this country to help with the situation with crime. But that's not the only thing, but pray. You know, Miyamati, who all of us love from Barbados,
yes,
told the Bajan population that Saturday go on there, they must stand for 5 minutes in silence as a way to deal with the 30 murders they have to treat with crime, right?
Yes.
I didn't hear the Bajan citizens come out and say, was she talking to choppiness? Or there's no report saying that she mad or nothing like that. But it goes to show you how some in Trinidad just complain about everything. Because had Dr. Rowley, the Minister of National Security, or the Commissioner of Police, tell Trinidadians to stand for 5 minutes in silence as a way to treat with crime, it will be in the newspaper from Saturday, this whole week coming. And again, the same conversation with Mia Motley. She has taken Barbados to the IMF on 2 occasions that I know of when she came in. I think they would have fired about or laid off about 3,000 public officers. Have you heard Bajans marching in the street and complaining? Right now, they have an economic policy called BERT, B-E-R-T, that's the acronym. And that is the structural adjustment program in order to make back money to the IMF. Because you borrow from the IMF want to know how you're making money. They may want to hear not more social program because that can make no money. And she has satisfied them so well in making back the money, she was able to go back and borrow money again. But have you heard Bajans complain about the BERT, is Barbados Economic Recovery Transformation, something like that? Have you heard them complaining? Because I'm sure a lot of the social programs would have had to be cut. Could you see that happening in Trinidad? But the IMF this year would have given Trinidad and Tobago a good rating in saying, like, first time in 10 years, a decade that have seen that kind of growth. Moody's and Standard & Poor's, 2 international lending agencies, would have also given us good ratings. In that same tape I talk about it, Roger, in 2015, he would have spoken about Moody's downgrading Trinidad and Tobago under Kamala Persad-Bissessar and spoke in glowing terms about who Moody's is. But today, Moody's, the same Moody's, and Standard & Poor's have given Trinidad and Tobago a good credit rating. All of a sudden, they're in international credible rating agency again. I'm saying all this to say, we continue to look at gift horse in its mouth. We continue to take for granted and run we mouth somehow, or the PNM and Dr. Rowley, looking at things in a small area, not looking at the bigger picture. And you see that foolishness, that is what we're up against. Because people like the quick fix, it's sounding good. He say that she say, and they go on with that. And then when you have a radio station with two hosts an evening given liberty, who they say they come in to educate PNM people, need to be educated themselves, them need to be hook and phonics, and to be wow and wow. And you have them there every day, Monday to Friday, 3 hours every day, talking a set of gubar and talking about the educating people. That is added to some of the problem we have in this country. Because you could, to me, you could support whatever party you want. That is your right, your constitutional right. You could vote for whoever you want. But at least when they come into the table in support of a party, come with facts, come with information, so we could have a debate from the time you have to come with lies and propaganda and miseducation and misinformation and disinformation. It tells me you have nothing worth for nobody in this country. And that's what we have to be looking at. Why they need to be lying so? Why they need to be coming every day with negative and misinformation? It's because they know the UNC ain't worth spit. That is why they need to do that. And that's what you have to do in 2025. Understand the mindset and know what you have to do to make sure that the People's National Movement remain in office. So all the track that they're laying right now, that not any Guti and the mother and the father could run free and eat up and drink up and do the corruption they did in 2015, when oil prices was the highest ever in the history of Trinidad and Tobago for 2010 to 15. But yet in December 2015, Jawara Ramran come to tell me that we're in a recession. Governor Kaigo.
Thank you, Jen. The haters. But you know, if God forbid the party come back into power next year, crime continues. You know, they say it's because of rowdy. Yeah, Kamala need more than 5 years to fix that. It's 8:35. There was one more thing I wanted to play quickly. Let me get this here.
You are strong.
Now, we want to hear you. One more thing. Let me see if I find this here. Where is it? Appreciation for. Where is it, buddy? Is it on the other side? Okay, just now. Let me get this here. Where is it? This thing is, right? I know I saved this thing. What's going on with me? All right, I know where it would be. Give me 1 second. Let me just get it. It has to be here. Right.
I'm so happy. Oh my God, I'm so happy right now. You know, we need to give credit where credit is due, right? So I now come out from here. This is Government Campus Plaza, Port of Spain, right? I went to do 2 things. Marriage certificate, BIR number, guys. I was in and out a day in 20 minutes with my stuff. If you know, you know. Gone are the days you used to wait 2 and 3 weeks for a document. All what I so proud. I'm so proud. I win as I win. Even the staff, let me talk about the staff. The staff was nice and friendly. They acting like they're mad to be here. They acting like they hate this work. The guy, then you through the process, they're talking to your night, even the security and them, the freaking, the well knowledgeable. This is such a proud moment. Oh God, how do I still pick up this place, boy? I wasn't expecting to get through so fast. I don't think it's a long drawn out thing because all you know that how it used to be, you see? Some progress is better than no progress. Big up my country.
Out of the mouth of the young people there, right? She's proud of her country. She went to Board of Inland Revenue. She went to the Ministry of Legal Affairs, sort out her marriage certificate and her BIR number, and in 20 minutes she was able to complete both transactions. Thanks to what? The efforts of this administration at digitizing the public service and the services that the people need. So this young lady went there and she was so impressed that she felt the need to do a live while she's still on the street. She couldn't wait. She pulled out her phone one time to do a live to let people know, hey, a win is a win. If you know, you know. Gone are the days when it would take forever and a day. And there are a lot more things like that happening in the public service thanks to this government. Right? With respect to the Ministry of Legal Affairs, where the process to, if you wanted to do a name search, or if it is you wanted to register a business, all of these things that are now available to be done online, to file your annual returns. Once upon a time, you had to print the documents in duplicate, fill it out, go down to the ministry or to the company's registry, stand up in a long line. When you get there, you hand both copies to the CSR. They have to go up on the system, check to make sure that your information matches what it is they have on the system. Then they give you a piece of paper to go by the cashier, pay your $40, and then come back and join another line to present your receipt so that you could get your stamp copy to leave. Now, you could sit down in the solitude or the quiet of your home with your phone or your laptop or your tablet, and you could do it right there in the quiet of your home. You're filing, you're paying online, you don't even need to leave your home. And 2-3 days later, you get an email with your annual returns registered, and you could just print it or save it in your documents for your own files. You don't have to leave your home anymore. And that happened under who? But Ms. Deming, Petty Betty, while running, wouldn't do a live to commend the government for that. She wouldn't do that. No. Let me see what I could criticize them about today, because I still toting because they fired me from the board of TDC. But things like this, these small wins. And we, as supporters of this party, need to continue to promote these small wins. Seeing, right, so let me see here. All of these small wins, these little things that add up. You heard the Minister of Works and Transport indicate recently that right now the government is in the process of putting things in place. His ministry is in the process of putting things in place where you could now renew your driver's license online. So there will be, in the not too distant future, there will be no need for you to go down to any licensing office to renew your license. You go online on the portal, then you put in your information as the case may be. You get a digital photo, as you do now when you have to, when you your photo and everything to the system, hit submit, your information goes through, you'll be able to pay online in the same way that you can pay for your annual returns, and then your license will come to you via TT Post through registered mail. So you'll get a call, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, this is TT Post. I have a package for you, I'm in your area, calling to see if it is you're available to receive your package. Yes, come, they pull up in front of your gate, you come outside, you have ID, they need to confirm it's you, all right, good. Please sign here, they take off the strip off of the red envelope, and they hand you. You open it, your license in there. All of these things are currently in train. Things that probably that in some modern countries do exist. They might still have to go to the DMV and all kind of thing to do these things. But the government is putting things in place to make it easier for the citizens to not have to come down to any office. So even if it is that you're incapacitated and you can't go, you could do everything online. All these things, where is the credit for that? Where is the credit for that? No credit for that, but we will. Next time while running, I just want to share some thoughts on that now. There was a time when you would have praised the government for that, but because after some 7-8 years, you're still tooting. Come on, man, Denise, get over it. Get over it, okay? Let me see here. Patty says she went on Bruce show, but she can't take on his guest every day. He's not a guest now, Patty. The man is a talk show host now, twice a week. I understand. He got my old time slot. Adad says their devices are only for powdered music videos. Adad, you're brutal. Oh my gosh. Where's that there, boy? Let's see who else is there. We have on Facebook. Jenny says the type of service at Legal Affairs has been happening for a long while now, but citizens would not know if they hadn't visited, or unless citizens do what that young lady did. Exactly. And again, the Ministry of Communication has a lot of work to do. When the People's Partnership was in office, they had a program called Voices, Your Government Working for You. Every little thing that happened, it was annoying, yes, but they got the information out there. It didn't help them because the corruption was too much to overcome what little they would have done. But nobody is saying this current administration needs to do the exact same thing, but the information needs to get out there. People are not going to go on their phone to pull up ministry of this website and ministry of that website to see what taking place. They're not going to do that. Unless they're genuinely interested or doing research. They're not going to go on Facebook or any other social media platform. Let me see what's happening in the Ministry of Youth Development. Let me see what's happening in the Ministry of Trade. Let me see what it is going on. Look, Trinidad and Tobago, the World Travel Awards, we just got the first place award for the leading destination for business travel in the Caribbean. So that when it comes to the hosting of conferences and the like and so on, Trinidad and Tobago was just awarded #1. But I saw it on the PNM Facebook page. Where is that on the official government pages? Why are we not hearing about these things again? You all need to understand the assignment. Understand the assignment. That should be our hashtag going forward. Understand the assignment. And that, you see, that is very powerful. I have no doubt that is going to definitely lead to the United States having their first female president come November. Once they're able to maintain that momentum and people buy into that, I understand the assignment campaign, it's limitless what could be achieved. Yeah. So folks, to those of us who support good governance, let us understand the assignment, right? We will try as best as we could here to give you all the information so you could go out and share it here. But we know there are some platforms where they will not allow you. So if you call that dotish program on that radio station and you give them facts, they suffer from cognitive dissonance. They hold on to certain truths, and when you provide them even with facts to tell them this is the truth, they want to hear that. Yeah, they tell you you're a PNM sycophant and you're drinking Balize juice, and they cut you off because they only like to hear lies, propaganda, misinformation. So don't cast your pearls to swine. Know where it is your information will be received. Some of these newspaper outlets, when they post up the articles on Facebook, feel free to go in the comments and correct some of the liars that they have there. I do that all the time. Had to do that last night for one of them on CNC3 during their newscast on Facebook. Talking about where they were discussing the issue of the shortage of forex. And this one jumped in the comments to say, how come the 1% do ever have no problems of forex and it's only the poor people and the small business? And I had to go and pull up an article to post it to show him he talking rubbish. Where Omar Hadid, who owns several businesses, I think he has the franchise for Bath and Body Works, Skechers, and these other, and a few other entities here in Trinidad, was complaining that because of the forex shortage, it has put a damper on the expansion of his business. And so now he's going to Ghana to do some stuff and the like. But they too are being affected. But you see, when you don't correct these lies and misinformation, you have other people who will be reading through the comments and supporting that. And then you see 10 likes, 15 likes, 20 likes, and you're liking rubbish. But we will provide you with the information here. Right? So let me see. What is this here? So and Patricia says it's only Bruce could face Backer. Anyway, I met a lady yesterday, Mommy saw sister. Forgive me, I can't remember her name at the moment. Very pleasant lady. Met her on Queen Street yesterday. And she was telling me about the Iowa station. Anyway, the man looking to make her money and eat her food, yes. So to each his own, but I don't listen to that station anymore. Folks, enjoy the rest of your day. Make it a productive one, as I always say. Always a pleasure to share some thoughts with you. And on Thursday morning, God's willing, we'll continue the conversation. Well, I don't know what is happening with UNC because the Facebook page is bare. Well, those that I'm not blocked from, and with no Monday night forum, we don't know what their thoughts are, even except for their wasted time press conference. I think they're supposed to have one tomorrow morning. They usually have it. No Monday night forum, so they'll probably have a press conference tomorrow to talk some rubbish, some trash, misrepresent the facts, chastise the government, and so on. Right? And for the in-your-face policing. Let's bear with the police because we see in it is yielding results. Yes, it's an inconvenience to the wider public, but if one could yield 7 guns coming on the street, which is the AR-15 that was used to in the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, to me, as the young lady said just now, a win is a win. Even the small wins, we take it, right? Because we're happy those 7 guns are off of the street now, and the persons who were in possession of it are currently behind bars. And every small win adds up. So if we can have more of that, yes, it's an inconvenience, but let's bear with the police, right? Maybe when the criminals realize, hey, they mean business now, we could see what can happen, right? So Claire Carrington is saying she's listening on her way to New Orleans. Oh my gosh, Claire, enjoy that trip. New Orleans is on my bucket list of places to visit, and I hope to do so very soon. Yeah, so enjoy it for me too. I'm jealous. Scotty Tash is saying it's only Google who's still trying on 91.1. Yes. Our numbers are falling, but you know what? We can fix that. It's not too late to pull it back. Right? We will find ways to do it. I'm hoping that now that Rhoda Barrett has won her case against Gary Griffith, that news source can return. But we will see how that goes. Let me see. Pam Gray says she's in Los Angeles, California, and listening to the program all the way out in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for that, Pam. Yeah, so you know we reach in places. That is good. Spread the word. Spread the word. Share the life. So Thursday, folks, God's willing, we will chat again. So enjoy the rest of the day. Remember, it's supposed to be a rainy one today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Yeah, so keep dry, keep safe. Alison is asking, where is Sharon? Sharon not on? Let me see. I don't know. I don't have the time to listen, right? So I don't know what's taking place with Sharon. Oh yes, I think this weekend also the Aruka Maloney constituency is having their constituency executive conference at the parish hall, St. Mary's Church Parish Hall. So if it is that you are, I don't think it's necessarily by invitation, I'm not too sure, but if you are a resident of Aruka Maloney, constituent of Aruka Maloney, supporter of the PNM, please feel free to go down and patronize, right? Because all of this is part of the process for promoting the party. So, let me see who else is there. Scotty is saying, how long Sharon and come on 19. What going on there, boy? Serious. Okay. I know even when I was there, Sharon used to have her things doing, but I know, and she has been advocating very, very hard, based on my discussions with her, to try and get a program on one of the government radio stations, more so Talk City 91.1. She continues to advocate for that whenever she gets the opportunity. I sincerely hope that her efforts wouldn't fall on deaf ears, and probably before the next general election that could happen. And if she got a program there, no idea. You have no idea. I supporting that. Whether it is she pull me in as a guest or whatever, as a co-host, I for that. Right? Or they could look to see if they could get some time on I-95.5, because that station too needs some help. Other than John Benoit and John Gill and Darian Marcel, they need some help to counter the nonsense that you hear every morning from those two. So, folks, we'll see how that goes. Things are taking place behind the scenes, but as soon as it bears fruit, we will let you guys know. Right? So stay safe, keep dry, and we will chat on Thursday morning, God's willing. Yeah?